Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna cut all of that out. And now that
Yeah.
I've said
Oh, yeah.
that, everyone watching is gonna wonder what the fuck we talked about. But you'll never know.
You'll never know.
You'll
Coming
never
out
know.
next
Editing
week with-
privileges.
As
Find out
always,
after the show, because we are live in like 5 or so minutes. That's right, baby.
Oh, that's right.
Every
Usually-
episode towards the end on YouTube, we premiere it, and then we usually hang out with y'all live afterwards.
yeah,
Last week we talked
the
about
after
if,
bark episode where Misha
After
shows
Bark.
his nipples.
Which, Ruby, I've been... Wait, what?
I'm
Hello, everyone. My name is Misha B. Barkin. I'm joined by my friends Solis and Ruby. Go ahead and say hello.
bark.
Meow.
And
But we've done that prematurely now. Misha missed it out on his bark.
What? No.
I used 2 barks to be fair. I just covered for.
Yeah.
Misha's
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
Solis got me.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
We've been
covered,
trading
I
names a
covered.
lot, so that was the payoff for us trading names. Now
It
we're back
actually
to...
depends.
Ooh.
Is he wearing your shirt or what?
Oh, guys, I
Oh my
have the
God.
right preset this time. I didn't have to like put my shirt on real
Oh,
quick right before.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that, and I was like,
I-
"Cool, I don't have to say it this time."
I completely forgot to check. Ruby
It
had the right
also-
mic. I had my
I was like,
shirt
Ruby has
on.
the right mic. Oh my God, are we there yet? Are we
We're
getting
doing
there?
it. We're becoming real
Oh!
podcasters.
Oh, super quick. I know you're gonna about to talk about what's today about, but hey, everybody, something special. If you want to listen to the audio only version of this, you can do it now on YouTube Music. It is under podcast. You just search Bark Bark Meowcast. All of our episodes, like literally when it uploaded on Friday last week, the episode went up on YouTube and was immediately for just audio listening on YouTube Music as well. So
Really?
it is. Yeah, like I checked it right after the premiere and it was there. Like that was the first
Oh.
episode that came up.
That's
So
awesome.
I was like, that's so cool. So
Alright.
I guess I should say, maybe don't expect that all of the time, but I'm gonna say like that's pretty quick. So like, hopefully within
I have a
24 hours.
question for the audience. Like, as someone who honestly doesn't typically listen to podcasts myself, I like things like video essays, and I listen to them in my ears like podcasts. But I don't know. I'm comforted by the fact that I could look down and see a visual, especially when it's something like important and they're fact checking and like a journal pops up. I don't know. Do the people who listen to our podcast, do you guys prefer like just verbal podcast, or do you guys like the visuals? Because if so, it's something like I'd want to invest in what they like, and if they like better audios, I want to invest in like a soundboard or something.
Ooh,
But if they,
Yeah.
or definitely a better mic. That's all the
definitely,
list of things.
we gotta get you a better mic. The mic you have is subpar.
It's a blue snowball, so it's like the absolute bottom tier like streaming mic. It's your little baby streamer start mic.
That is absolutely what I started off
I was
with.
gonna say I've got an Audio Technica AT2020, and
Yo!
it's very okay.
Is yours the USB version?
No.
Or are you running Same. I have an Audio Technica 2020 running through XLR
Nice. Yeah, I've got a
thing.
Scarlett
I
box.
honestly, I wanted to buy another mic, just like I want to buy a new computer. So I got a not a summer, but like a winter job right before our podcast, and it ended horribly.
Oh, no.
But I want that to segue into what we wanted to talk about today,
Oh,
Again,
right.
which was
work
shitty job
sucks.
experience.
Yeah. So
And Misha wants to start, so you go off, Misha.
I do want to start. So we are recording this on August 10th. That is a Thursday. I almost forgot what day of the week it is. This previous Monday, I had my last day at my job. And if you don't know what my job is, I'm not going to say it. The most I'm going to say is we cooked pizzas. It was a pizza place. And so I had my last day this Monday because I'm going to be going back to school to finish my degree. I've got 2 quarters left. And so, yeah, I'm super excited about that. I think I'm finally ready to go get that done. But that means today I'm going to bitch about my job. Solis is going to bitch about his job. And Ruby is going to bitch about their job. And we're all just going to bitch. It's going to be a bitch and stitch. Hold the stitch. We're going to have a good time.
I have a very quick
could start
question.
Start sewing. What is your question?
I have a very quick question of, out of all of us, is retail / dealing with customers been the majority of our work? And if not, what would you say, out of your entire working career, what was like your field? Like if you were in sales, or were you, like I said, like I worked a lot of retail. So
I wasn't like super retail. Mine's definitely been mostly fast food.
were
Uh,
you a register or more of a cook,
I
or
was
both? Did you?
register when I first started because my first job was McDonald's, as a lot of people's was. I was
great
register.
first job.
Yeah, the first one I worked at was good. The second one sucked, major balls, but you know. The first one I was primarily register. And then the second time I worked at McDonald's, I worked at the place in my town. The other one was like just on the outskirts. And this one in the town fucking sucked, dude. It was the worst job I've had. And that one I was in the kitchen. I was the one, you know, I was flipping patties, as they would say. And for some reason, the GM there, like, cause we got a new GM, I swear to God, she hated me. I don't know what I did. I don't know if it was just cause like I genuinely don't know what I did. I had like some stubble on my face because I hadn't shaved in like 2 weeks. My facial hair grows really slow, so I had like maybe a little bit of stubble on my chin and my neck. And she was like, "Give me a good reason why I shouldn't send you home right now." And I was like, "What?" Because it's not that long of facial hair. And she's like, "Well, if you shave it after your shift today, you should be fine." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, it wasn't a full beard. I didn't have hair coming off of my face. It was literally just stubble that I hadn't shaved because I'd been so friggin' busy between work and school. And like, I was blown away. I was like, "What the fuck did I do?" And she was like the micromanaging type. This isn't even the job I wanted to
Oh
bitch
yeah,
about.
yeah.
It was just the micromanaging type where it was like, "Oh, did you do X, Y, and Z plus ABC?" Like everything. And
Mm.
it's like, well, let me do my own thing. Like I know how to do my job. Don't worry.
I think that's the big thing is it's like when you know your job and they still have to go behind your back and like try and like say something and do that micromanaging, and that just drives you nuts. Which
God.
you just gave me a story to talk about in a second, but yeah, that is the worst. Also, that she's they were the type
It
of
was she.
manager. Yeah, you said she, but I was like,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
should just default to they. But uh, yeah, so they're like the type of manager that clearly does not separate personal feelings and work. Because like nobody snaps like that, especially says, "Give me one reason you shouldn't be fired or whatever, you shouldn't be sent home or whatever the fuck." It's like, all right, so did your husband like yell at you today? Did you fucking spill your coffee down your pants? Like, what the fuck happened that caused you to want to be a bitch?
Yeah, like what did I do? I drove straight from rehearsal here. I didn't have time to
Oh,
shave. Fuck off.
straight up lashing out is what that is. You did nothing wrong. They just wanted to yell at you. They
Yeah.
wanted something to direct their anger and emotions at.
Yay.
And those types of people, for some reason, for God knows what reason, end up in positions of power and like places like that.
God, she was terrible. But yeah, this new job.
God, I had one like that, man.
God, it's the worst. This
I think we all do. I think that's one of the reasons this is like one of the most relatable topics ever. Because everyone ever has had a fucking shitty boss.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
And even if like you're a younger listener, you've had a shitty teacher. You know,
Oh, for sure.
everyone's had someone shitty in a position of power. We've all been there. It sucks ass. There's not much you can do about it except for bitch about them as soon as you're out of that situation. Um
Yup. Which, speaking of the most freeing feeling in the world, talk about the new update.
yeah. I'm out of there, baby. I'm gonna just be doing content creation and going back to school. So this recent job, honestly, as a whole, wasn't bad. I genuinely liked my coworkers. I liked doing the job. It was a little out of the way, but there was just a bunch of little things that kept building up and building up. And then one day, like I remember the day, I was just like, I'm quitting this job. Like I'm going back to school. I'm quitting this job. I'm done. Fuck this. It was a Sunday and my shift started at 10:30. So, I normally just rode the bus and it was like the bus stop is right next to where the pizza place was, and like kitty corner from that was a Starbucks. And I'd treat myself every Sunday morning because it was right there. And so I was walking towards the Starbucks, and the parking lot was completely empty. And the manager is supposed to be there at 9. And I was like, that's a little weird, but okay. After like 5 or so minutes, we get a group notification from the driver that was also supposed to be there because, delivery. And he was like, hey, I just arrived, but the door is locked and all of the lights are off. What's going on? And I
That's
was
always
like, maybe I'll spend a little more time at Starbucks. And so we're checking the group chat, and one of the other managers was like, well, the manager is probably at the bank because that's something they have to do in the morning. And then the area manager comes in and is like, I just checked the cameras and all of the lights are off and haven't been turned on all morning. Something's up. And we're like, okay. So I finally get to the pizza place at like 10:15. My shift starts at 10:30, so I was already going to loiter for 15 minutes. 10:45, 15 minutes after we open, the morning manager shows up. So he is an hour and 45 minutes late, lets us in, and we have to like rush and do all of our opening tasks because now we're 15 minutes late, and he's an hour and 15 minutes late on his tasks. And yeah, it was just like at that moment I was like, man, this is bullshit, because it was like one of the hotter days, so I was standing outside in like 85, 90 degree weather at like 10 in the morning, and I was like, yeah, I'm fucking quitting. This was bullshit. And then just like we had a thing, I promise this is the name of the machine. It's called a retarder. We had one of those. It's basically a fridge that's at like slightly warmer temperatures. It's at like 35. And it's for all the dough to go in. That broke like maybe once or twice a month. We finally got a new one at some point. And then our make table where we, put all the ingredients on the pizza, that would occasionally just stop refrigerating, and it would be up to like 45, 50 degrees. So we would have to pour ice in the bottom of it to cool it down. And the drain was clogged, so all of the water from the previous night leaked onto the floor. And when I got there Sunday morning, I think it was like a week later after this past incident, there was just a flood of water in that corner of the store. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Dude, what the fuck? So instead of like fixing that, they just come in and do temporary fixes and just leave. A $1 billion company can't have a functioning store. It's just unreal.
I think that's a lot of the hangups that end up happening in a lot of these types of things is like just corporate penny pinching everywhere they possibly can, instead of just like doing what's right and making your stores like solid and your workers happier, because they're not like dealing with duct tape together shit. Just patch jobs. I have too many stories about that with my current job, which I have also quit multiple times.
Yeah, like we have to like beg them for working equipment. The door, so there's 2 doors. There's the front door where all the customers go in, and then there's a driver door where all of the drivers like go in and out of, and that attaches straight to the kitchen, so it's a lot easier. That door has been broken for the past 4 months, to the point where even if you type in the code, it won't unlock. And we've had people, or I guess they had, I don't fucking work there anymore. They had people come in like weekly to try and fix the door. They would come in, poke and prod at it a little bit, and be like, well, there's nothing we can do. We're going to have to send someone else in. And then the next week, rinse and fucking repeat. And it's like, what the hell? What did this previous guy do? Did we pay him for that? He didn't do anything. So that's fun and exciting.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah, thank
you.
You're
free?
Yeah.
Like, so, because I know in the last couple weeks prior to this, I had seen some blue skies and some tweets where, I could tell you were like heavily contemplating it.
Oh, yeah.
When you finally made that decision and then did it, like, how did that feel?
Oh, it felt so good. The biggest thing is like, finances might be a little rough, but I'm in the process of trying to sell my mom's old house. So finances shouldn't be an issue, assuming the house sells in the next like 2 or 3 months. If it doesn't, then that's a bridge we'll have to cross when we get there. But
that's a future Misha problem.
Yeah, I put in my 2 weeks and left on a good note. So if I have to go back, I can. I made sure to do that because, like I said earlier, I enjoyed the employees, and like my general manager was like one of the best general managers I've had. She listened to the employees. If you needed a day off, she would work her hardest to get you that day off. She never guilt tripped you for calling in or anything. You know, that's a big problem when you call into jobs and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't know who's going to cover your shift tonight. It's going to be a rough night without you. Way to go." You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the
Um
guilt tripping. Where it's the we're a family kind of
yeah.
thing. Where it's like you wouldn't do that to your family. It's like, yeah, you're right, but I also don't. You're not my family, and I'm not dedicating my life to this dead end job.
Yeah,
You're right. If this were my family, I'd be like, "Hey, mom, I'm just not feeling it," and just not show up.
right? And like
My mom wouldn't fire me.
one of the biggest things is like she'll be like, "Hey, are you able to come in and cover this shift tonight?" And it's like, "Oh no, I can't." She's like, "Oh, okay. Worst you can say is no." And that was it. That was end of story. Couldn't cover it?
God,
Okay, cool.
that's
It
a manager that you want. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. I loved her, and like it, you know, one of the best GMs I've had, because the other GMs will be like, "Oh, well, yeah, don't expect the same thing if you need your shift covered, because you wouldn't cover this shift because you're selfish." Like they wouldn't
I
say
fucking
exactly
hate
that,
when
but
they say that, especially
yeah,
because I always try
Mm.
and be the employee that if someone's calling out and I'm not doing anything that day, even though I don't want to, I will come in that day because I also live kind of a spontaneous life and I am usually the first person that needs shifts covered, but I never had a problem covering my shifts because I was also the first person to cover shifts.
yeah,
And none of my coworkers ever, like, I always had a coworker like no problem. But then inevitably there'd be a manager that would be like, you seem to be calling out a lot. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm also calling in a lot. Like it's really evening out, man.
You know
yeah,
what?
I'm
God,
getting it I'm getting it covered. It's my problem, not yours. I know it's inconvenient for you, but I worked mostly food industry jobs,
yeah.
and one of the perks of that job is its flexibility.
yeah, we
Uh I have sorry to interrupt you, Solis. Go ahead.
yeah, that's so like that's exactly how it goes. Like most jobs I've worked, even my current one, I think has like a point system about how many days you miss. The issue, and thank God for this, is like there are some silver linings that came from COVID. It seems like a lot of people realized how shitty these jobs were, and
Oh
then
yeah,
also how much more valued they are as a person when nobody's there to work.
yeah,
So with that, what used to be at my old workplace, if you miss like 3 days in a rolling 90 day period, like you're on thin ice if not getting fired on the fourth call in. And that's even if you like got coverage, man. They don't care. That's a point against you. And that's like the same thing at Walmart when I used to work at Walmart. They don't care about coverage. That's a point against you. You get too many points, we're just going to can your ass. Well, then again, I swear to God, in my working career after COVID, uh, and again, I just think people realize their value. The working class is starting to realize their value versus just being told you're lucky to have a job. And they've been sticking up for themselves a lot more. And now they're not like immediately canning people. And they seemingly are like, especially management at my current job, is way more willing to hear you out about what's going on. And like, if you get coverage, then they don't give a shit. They're like, all right, you got it covered. Cool. And it's like they're only upset if you don't get coverage and you force management to figure it out.
yeah,
Because then it's a them problem. Now you're affecting them. But yeah, God, just like how the systems are built, where it's just like, oh hey, you missed 4 days in a 90-day period. Sorry, you're gone. Like, even if you have like medical excuses, there's a lot of times I remember like, depending on where you are, they just say fuck it and can your ass anyways.
God,
But again,
yeah,
that was
Nothing
back when.
shots in the head.
And it's like, guys, it always kills me too because it's like these are like minimum wage jobs. The minimum that you're required by the state or federal government, depending on where you are. Mine's state because mine is higher than the federal. Like most places are higher than federal government minimum wage, but it's like the minimum you can possibly pay somebody to work for you. And they're like, oh, but you need to be available 7 days a week. And we'll just make sure that we put out a schedule a week or two in advance, maybe only a week in advance to tell you when you're going to work that 7 days or throughout those 7 days. And we promise we won't make you work more than 6 to 9 in a row.
yeah,
It's like, what the fuck?
right,
Like, you're paying me minimum wage for my entire life? Like, that dedication, like, come on, salary me and make me like not have to worry about like bills and stuff. Nah, that's not how it works. Yeah, that's
So,
like,
Misha, Misha, you were talking about how you put in your 2 weeks and you left. You left on a good note. So if you need to, you can come back.
Yeah.
Which is always good. I always recommend that, especially if we
Mhm.
have younger viewers or viewers who are thinking about quitting a job.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a fun story, and I don't think I've told this on a podcast at least, but I think I have told it before about someone who didn't do that once.
Oh boy.
So
Can,
I
can
know.
I
So
can
go
I
ahead.
build on what you were just saying really quick, and then you can go into your story, because I actually meant to say something too. Cautionary tale, unless it's literally dragging your mental health to the point of like bad places, it's typically better to wait till you have another job lined up, or you make sure your finances, like Misha, are in order to where you can survive while you're looking for another job. Definitely, I will say, like, there's 2 jobs I've straight up walked out of, which I'll tell you about later. But I had 2 jobs, so I still had 1 job after I left the other one, you know?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say it. Cautionary, you know.
What job did you leave?
I left a potato chip factory, local to here, just one day, like one night, and the job I'm currently at, about 2 years ago, I walked off after. Well, I finished my shift and then told them I wasn't coming back the next day. But I'll get back into that. Those, it takes a lot to get to those points, and those are the 2 stories I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
But Ruby, please go
Oh,
ahead.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh no.
Fuck.
You said the
ADHD.
2 weeks.
God dang it.
2 weeks notice leaving amicably.
Oh yeah, you said you had a story that you had told on a podcast.
Yeah, you hadn't told the
That's
story
right.
on this podcast, but you told it before, and it was somebody else didn't put in their 2 weeks, and that was the story you were gonna tell.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Fuck.
Keep thinking on it. Try to bring that train back. If you want me to start, I can get into this.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Editing Misha could just cut out that whole bit about me not
Oh my
remembering.
God.
No, it's fine. It's great.
I'm
It's
leaving
ADHD.
it.
So my first job I ever walked off of and quit without giving 2 weeks. Which, by the way, don't let any employer tell you it's required. It is a courtesy as a worker that you don't do that. And if you like the people you work with, yeah, it's kind of nice to do, and you're not putting them in a situation. But basically, I worked for this potato chip factory that's local to Illinois, or was. They sold out, so it's not anymore. And it's hot, physical, greasy, sweaty work. I came home with gunk all over me that needed a hot shower, and they basically, I think they only paid me minimum for this first several years I worked there, because I started, that was my first like real job out of high school, or in high school actually. And then it wasn't until a couple years going into college that they gave me a little bit more than minimum wage, but I still think I was only getting paid like $7 an hour to do some pretty nasty work, lifting 50, 60 plus pounds all of the time, using power washers with hot ass water, like 212-degree water coming out of it.
Oh God.
Because you have to be able to spray this grease off the floor and stuff that would collect throughout the day, because it was a health and safety hazard.
Yeah.
So that's like cleaning at the end of the nights were like the big part of the job, the hard part of the job. And it just, things had been building at that point, and I had another job at that point. I was working at Walmart on overnights. I was making plenty of money there compared to the minimum wage I was working. I was actually getting paid more at Walmart because of the overnight differential that they paid than the job I had been working at for like off and on for like 4 or 5 years at that point. That's how bad the boss was like at giving raises. And yeah, that is just like a culmination of like the hard work. I was making more money elsewhere that they were asking me to go full time at. And the plant manager, Doug, love you, Doug. Best boss in the world. He was a gem. Best guy ever. But the second assistant plant manager, that motherfucker can go die in a hole.
Oh no.
And
Shout
that's what
out
it
to
was.
Doug.
Mike was a little bit too micromanagey, and he'd get pissed off and upset. And just one night, as we're like getting towards the end of cleanup and stuff, he said something about hurry your asses up, get moving, I want to get out of here. And I'm professional as fuck when it comes to work. So I wouldn't curse, actually. That being the point is, I just yelled back like whatever, okay, or something like that. and he thought I told him to go fuck himself, so he stormed all the way across the room and got in my face. Like, in my face. And this guy's got like a foot on me. He's like 6 foot something. I'm 5'7". And he's like twice my size and gets in my face and is like, you want, basically, you cursed at me or whatever like that. And I said, you really think I would do that? Like, what the fuck? And for some reason that broke the camel's back because I went home, I showered, ate, took like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour nap, and got up and went straight to overnight at Walmart.
Jesus.
And the entire overnight shift at Walmart, all I could think about was not going back to that job at noon the next day. Like, it was a dread, fight or flight response. Like, 8 hours, actually technically 9 because there's an unpaid hour lunch in there. I just was dreading it. But I told myself, sleep it off, Solis. Sleep it off. Go home, sleep it off, wake up, go to work, make a decision. I get home about 7:30 in the morning, pretty much just hop straight into bed, and I lay there for an hour staring at the ceiling, thinking, God, I don't ever want to go back to that place. And that's when you know that it's time to fucking leave.
Yeah,
so
that's the moment.
I threw clothes on real quick. I went up to work. I was supposed to be there at noon. I was there at like 8:30, 9-ish. I went and found Doug, and that was the most heartbreaking thing to do, was to tell Doug, like, hey, I'm quitting, and not only am I quitting, like, I'm literally not coming in a couple hours, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done today. And he asked why, and then I explained all of the bullshit that had been going on, which he was, like, not 100% aware of, because he's not seeing everything. And then I went and told the boss of the place, and his first thing was, is it about the pay? We could see about getting you more pay. And I said, man, you should have thought about that when I had to ask for a raise. You should get a yearly raise. After a year, I asked for a raise, which I shouldn't have had to ask for. 3 months later, I got not even a quarter. So I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, I was like, maybe you should have like talked money back when it was relevant, because I don't give a fuck now. And then I just walked out.
Yeah. Like, it's amazing how many places will try and use giving a raise as like a bargaining chip, and it's like, oh well, we can pay you more, and it's like, it's amazing how that's suddenly in the budget as soon as I've got like 1 foot out the door.
If you just fucking paid me in the first place and made me happy, I would probably just stick around because I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time.
About how much y'all are making. I once had a job where like everyone was getting paid a different amount for the same job, and
I know exactly.
Yeah. You're legally allowed to talk to your coworkers about,
all right, we are not legal advisors, but
I think that's legal across the country, isn't it? I know it's legal
right.
in my state.
Right. So
yeah,
I just don't want
to
to be confused as legal advice, though. I want to make a disclaimer.
Yeah, this is not legal advice. None of us are lawyers.
But look into it. But I'm almost 1,000% certain, as Misha says, talking about what you make is like protected speech, and your workplace cannot like disrupt that or block that from happening. And that's typically because, again, like you were saying, Ruby, like finding out like the same person that you work with that has been there less or as long, or maybe only just like a little bit, is also making like significantly more than you. Well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So that is definitely a big thing. Talk about your heckin' wages. All right. So yeah, fuck that potato chip factory. They sold off. The greedy ass fucking son that inherited the company sold it off to big old Utz, and now it's just ruined.
Damn.
They don't make the chips in the state anymore. It comes out of a plant out of not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And they're just like nowhere near the same. So it's nothing like what my childhood was.
Oh no.
Rip. And the other one is the current job,
R.I.P.
the gas station / convenience store that I work for. Currently, I have been off and on employed there for 9 years. I keep coming back for some reason.
Felt that.
Nothing changes. It's all the same shit. I go back. I work dutifully and hard, and then little itty bitty bullshit happens, and drama that shouldn't even be involved in the workplace happens. And it just becomes unbearable. It's about as good as like the highest amount of high school drama you could get. And I don't understand that in a workplace and why it exists. It's so weird. And yeah, it was the same thing where it was just a build up. It was lack of staff a couple of years ago. I had been carrying a lot of extra weight on my back because they pushed it onto the other people that were still working there, of course. The manager is there for her salary. That's all she's there for. So she doesn't like to pick up more than she has to because that technically dilutes her hourly if she puts in more hours, you know?
Yeah.
I get that, but if shit needs to get done, don't push it all on us to where we want to quit too. And it just things came to a boiling point one night where somebody called in. I was a delivery driver, and they were like, "Hey, we need you to close the kitchen too." And I was supposed to stream that night, and I was like really excited for the stream and to get off that day. And suddenly I have to be there for 2 more hours and
Oh
do
no.
all this shit. And it wasn't really like it wasn't an ask either. It was like, "Hey, you're going to do this." I was like, "Oh, okay." And and then so I was actually the store manager that's like, "Well, I guess I'm covering the kitchen until you get off a delivery, then you're closing." So it was just me and the store manager in the kitchen, which means if I'm on delivery, it's just her in the kitchen, which means there's gonna be long ass list of pizzas. You know, it's gonna be a tough night.
Mm-hmm.
And it all stressed me out to a point where I actually started kind of like hyperventilating. My heart rate spiked. And I was lucky. I went on 4 deliveries, took like 40 minutes, right? Because 2 of them were out of town, so it's pizza delivery. I thought 40 minutes out of the store, blare some music, windows down, enjoy the nice, fresh air, and I'll settle the fuck down. Except for I didn't. And when I got back, fight or flight response was still going, and that same voice in my head from back when the potato chip thing happened was there. Like I get back after that 40 minutes, I'm still freaking out. Like I can't decide if I'm just gonna quit or not. And then I hear my store manager make a joke. This was just after mask requirements got dropped by the government or whatever, and it wasn't mandated anymore. And my manager and another person that was employed there were joking about how a customer the day before had come in with their mask on, and they were laughing at that person because they're COVID deniers and like
Ah.
conspiracists. And I don't know why, but them making fun of that person from the day before just set me off. And I was like, that was like the straw that broke the camel back. I brought my store manager into the freaking office and said, "So, I'm gonna finish this delivery shift. I'm not gonna close for you, and I'm gonna just clock out and leave."
Yeah.
And she's
That's
like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not even giving you 2 weeks. Fuck this place." Which is,
damn.
I thought I burned my bridge there, but an assistant manager. Well, they were the second assistant at the time, which he's a terrible person too. But he got moved up to assistant after the one before him left. She wasn't that. I'm getting confusing. He got back in the place and got me like promised me some things, and that's why I'm back there again. But I'm pretty much after this. I've been back for almost a year now, and I can full heartedly say I think this is the last time I'm employed there. I
Yeah.
just unless I become the store manager, I'm done with that place. I'm done with the people that work there. The first few months there were great back, and then it's just evolved right back into the hellhole that it was that I escaped.
It's
Like
all
done. I'm fucking done.
it's always like that too when you first get
Mm.
back to a job you've worked before. You're like, "Yeah, I remember why I like this job." And then after like a month or two, you're like, "I remember why I fucking hate this job."
Yup. The job itself isn't bad. I love delivering.
Totally.
I love doing things. But god damn it.
That's a
Somehow between corporate and the drama within that store, man.
That's another thing I hate about jobs is they're like, "Oh, so and so called in, so you're covering," and it's like, "What? No, I'm not. What the fuck?
It's
You
not
didn't
what I was
ask."
scheduled.
Yeah,
But
as
It's
soon as my schedule's done, I'm fucking out of here. Like,
so
you can
it's really
ask.
funny. Yeah, it's technically like they can't tell you, especially if you're scheduled. They can't actually tell you to work more hours. Um, but that's where like that little bit of like, is retaliation going to be a fear now? Because technically they can't get mad at you, and if they did like write you up or something, you could go to HR about it or like above their head to somebody and be like, "Hey, this is fucked up," and they would agree with you to your face, but then they would probably side with the manager and be like, "Well, no, they should just do what you say." And I hate that mentality where it's like, "Nah, don't expect me to just do something,
Yeah,
especially when I wasn't scheduled to."
yeah. Like, ask me nicely. That's like, if my general manager, since she was, respectful and treated me like a person, if she asked me to cover a shift, odds are I would, unless I was busy. And especially if I'm like already there and she's like, "Hey, so and so is like, they called out, can you stay an extra hour?" Normally I'd be more than happy to, because, they asked me to. They weren't just like, you're gonna stay an extra hour. It's like, what? That's not what I'm scheduled for. I'm out of here.
Do you mind working a little later? Like, I wouldn't mind that at all. Because I've been sick. Shit, I hope Carissa feels better.
I think that's the thing. I don't know if it's just how corporate America was built, because I will say I think again, not just COVID, but I would say as as years have gone by since I've been in and out of the workforce, especially retail, uh, working environment has gotten better, and I actually think it's because of us.
Oh
When I
yeah.
say us, I mean like our generation. I feel like we're a much more compassionate generation of people. We're way more empathetic and sympathetic, and thus you don't see us snapping on workers. We're usually a little bit more patient in lines, and it also kind of forced this whole like change up, because I remember when I first started getting into retail, if you had any tattoos, you had to cover them up. If you had piercings, you had to take out your piercings. Like, they wanted a Walmart cashier to be just shy of like wearing a fucking suit and tie,
Yeah.
and they called it professionalism, and I get having like a professional attitude, but if you're paying me minimum wage to check people out at a Walmart, I that's too far.
Yeah.
If you're
like,
gonna pay me double the minimum wage and start asking some things, then you've got maybe some points to make, because maybe that's how you want to be presented. So we're gonna pay you more to do that. But like straight up, people were getting paid like $7 an hour when that was kind of about the minimum wage, to like have to wear long sleeves in 90-degree heat because they had tattoos on their arms.
God.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Even now, a lot of places are still like not letting people just wear shorts, when shorts are objectively like way cooler during the summer months and should just be allowed.
Yeah. The drivers at my place could wear shorts. I couldn't because I was a cook and I was around a fryer and an oven, so that kind of makes sense. But like, the drivers at my place could, because they were out doing deliveries and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I get that, and I actually think that was the same case. I'd have to review the code book on that on my delivery night. I think I was able to do or wear shorts, but yeah, it's just, I will say things have come a long way, but they definitely aren't near where they need to be still. And I think, God, I think it just needs to be learned by these businesses and corporations. If you're going to pay minimum wage, you shouldn't expect a perfect employee. You should expect, honestly, the poorest employee,
You're gonna
because
get minimum effort.
you're giving them the minimum that you can pay them.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's just kind of like late stage capitalism, where it's about squeezing and pinching every penny.
Yep.
Where you can, to where it's just like, it's, we're gonna try and find the people that'll let us abuse them, is what they basically try to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that kind of happened during the COVID years, until there wasn't people willing to go back to work. And now everybody's scrambling to try and find people to work, because people are just like, no, fuck that. And I love it. Stand up for your rights. If your life is not going great, if your job isn't the dream job of your life, then you should be always looking to improve. There's nothing wrong with applying places, especially even places that you would love to work, but you don't think you have a chance of getting in. Why not? If you get in for an interview, cool, gives you a reason to dress up and go into an interview. Somehow you do super successful at the interview and suddenly they want you, boom, you just got your dream job.
Yeah, you did
There's
it.
no penalty for always looking to improve your working conditions in life.
I was gonna say the worst that they're gonna say is no, but they'll just ghost you. They just won't reply to you.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing that gets me.
Oh,
is like,
I hate when they don't reply.
yeah, it's like, oh, hey, I interviewed for this place. Oh, okay, you'll hear back from us. Never fucking does.
That's some life advice my mom gave me once, is you don't have the job until you sign the paperwork. And another bit of life advice is always show up to an interview. Not, they say show up to the interview with the mentality that you already have the job. Whatever. I don't want to give you advice on that, but my advice is show up to the interview ready to sign the paperwork. That includes bringing your social security card, your birth certificate, like all that information. Because if they tell you at the end of the interview, great, looks like you got the job, we'll just need to set up like a paperwork thing, you're like, I got it all right here, I'll sign up right now. Because I've had 2 places that have told me I got the job and then they didn't call me back and then just signed somebody else.
Oh.
Wow. So I was gonna say, That's awful. Absolutely despicable.
That is awful.
And that's why those buildings mysteriously burned to the ground within 3 months.
Whoa,
apart,
whoa!
right?
We don't know anything about that.
No, so I actually thought it'd be funny because if we're like, yeah, Ruby, why don't you bitch about your job? And it's like, you're a fursuit maker. It's like, man, I hate how these heads look at me all day.
Bitch about your clients. Make sure to drop their
Yeah,
names.
yeah. Make sure you dox your clients.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and say the worst things.
I've never had a bad client. Period. I've
Woo!
only had amazing.
Would you like one? I can be a bad
No,
client
Misha.
if you'd like.
No, I'm good. Thanks. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
wait, can I get a slot, but then never pay for the slot and just keep promising to pay?
No, then you don't get a slot until I have the money, and it's a non-refundable down payment.
Damn.
So no, there's a reason I don't have any bad clients.
Can I pay you in cryptocurrency?
Can I pay you an expo? Oh,
An
I don't have that Twitter
exposure?
account
Oh, I
anymore.
can.
Shit.
Ruby, I can get you so many followers, buddy. You just gotta make me a fursuit for free.
Yo,
Sure,
you want that?
Jan.
You want to eat that clout?
I got 50K on TikTok, Ruby. You're missing
Yum,
such
yum,
a
yum,
big
yum, yum,
opportunity.
yum, yum.
50K on
Only
TikTok?
50K.
Damn. Humbled quick.
God dang!
Pathetic.
Wow.
Hey, what's been up with the people getting messaged asking them to commission them? What's been up with that? Why do we have door-to-door Twitter salesmen? What's
Nothing. Honestly, okay, so that's always been a thing.
has it?
Yeah,
Yes or
and
no?
I think yes, it has. And that's been a thing since before Twitter. And I think honestly that it's being a little bit blown out of proportion.
Oh, is it?
I really hope that these people, because I've seen a few of those myself, and I do hope that those people are just blocking out the names, because it always happened, and 90% of the time it's either a kid or it's a brand new artist who's maybe only just getting into this and they don't know how it's done, but they've been taught by their parents, really be gung-ho, really sell yourself. And then they
Oh.
do, and they don't, they're just learning. Honestly, I think there's some dues you have to pay as an online creator, and I think that's one of them. I think you get privately shamed by somebody when they absolutely embarrass you because you've done a shitty thing, and then you just take the L and you walk away. I think it's being blown out of proportion that this is a horrible thing. It's something that's always happened. It's like tracing. Everybody gets shamed for tracing once in their young career, and then you never do it again because you felt so bad about it. And you slowly learn the environment that you're just stepping your little toesies into.
Yeah. Okay,
I don't think it's that big a deal. I think adults shitting on kids is pathetic. If a 14-year-old came to me and said, "Would you commission me?" I would be like, "No." And personally, I would just leave it at that. But if I wanted to be, I would be like, "No." And honestly, this isn't the way you do that. I don't follow anybody under the age of 18, but maybe in a few years we can do an art trade. But a lot of artists will be really offended if you do ask them that. And then move on.
Yeah.
People were like, "I can't believe this person asked me that."
Yeah.
So
It's probably a kid, man. Leave him alone.
funny in my head moment was Ruby's like, no, this is what I would do personally. I would say, no, kicks kid in face.
Oh, well, that's a given.
You stay down there.
/J.
One time I had somebody draw me fan art, which is super cute. Love that. Yeah, it was super sweet. I retweeted it and I thanked them, and then they drew me more fan art, and I did it again. And they said, why aren't you following me? And I was like, oh, I'm super sorry. I just don't follow people over the age of 18. They called me a bitch and blocked me and moved on.
Nice.
And my first reaction was a full offense, and then I remembered it's a child.
But also,
okay.
Yeah, it's just that is. I guess that's that's a big part of parasocial relationships, because that's even. It doesn't just mean you're a YouTuber or content creator, but that's also goes with artists that are looked up upon, right? They saw you, thought that was cool, made you fan art. The fan art got them attention and probably boosted their posts and stuff, like you said.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Fan art is a great way to boost your posts.
Well, you know what I actually like to say is I don't like calling it fan art, because I also don't want to idolize myself. I like to call it gift art, which is what it is. And that's the whole point. You're not supposed to ever expect anything when you're giving a gift. If you're expecting something in return while giving a gift, then it's not a gift. It is a transaction of some sort at that point. And
Right.
that becomes extremely gross when people do start showering you with gifts to then expect something from you. Now, I think we kind of have like the same idea of like, if you make gift art of Sol, if you make gift art of Ruby, we're gonna love it and we're gonna like your post. We're gonna
I don't get
boost your
gift art.
post.
That's cool. You just leave me out of that. I don't get gift art. That's cool, Solis.
Actually,
There's
do you?
no way you don't get gift art.
No, he was just like, you just get gift art of, you make gift art of Solis or gift art of Ruby, and then he moved on. It's like, all right, cool. I'll just go fuck
I
myself.
see.
No,
I was like,
I was waiting to see if Misha was gonna say anything.
I did.
nice
Say
cover.
something.
Nice cover.
It was more so that Ruby had kind of explained their side of things, and I'm in the same boat as Ruby, and then it's to see if you're in the same boat too. Of where it's like, yeah, if you give us gift art, awesome, I love it. Follow my rules of no NSFW, of course, but then we'll repost and stuff. But I think I'm like a lot like Ruby, where it's like, if that's our only interaction, I'm not gonna follow you because of that.
No.
Especially if you then continuously only gift art, because then it feels like the follow / relationship is tainted. It's like, oh, if I follow you, it's only because you're gonna keep giving me art. Like,
and I would almost disagree with that a little bit. Again, I think these things are learned over time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a formula for it. So people who like accuse others of making a formula, I don't think that's how the real world works. I think there's solid advice. Like, yeah, if you give gift art, remember that you're not entitled to anything. But I do think there's also something unspokenly said about if like the people who come to every single one of my streams, does that relationship start out as like a fan thing? Yeah. But then eventually the familiarity turns into a genuine relationship. It takes a lot of time, and that's kind of a harder route to go about a certain type of relationship. But I don't think there's nothing behind, like, if somebody were to give me a gift art once a week, I would definitely start to recognize them and relationships happen organically. There is no formula.
Yeah, you can't force a relationship.
I think that actually ties into even like the coming out and saying, what is it? I'm an artist, commission me post or DM or whatever. Like, that actually is a really good thing to say. Just guess what? My brain just farted. It's great.
Hell yeah.
Ruby, what was the last words you just said? Fuck.
You can't ask me. I have no idea.
I also don't.
I know, because I was gonna make a really good point.
We just said the stuff how
I
none of us remember. And like we were all engaged.
Ruby said
in
it,
the
and I was so
conversation.
ready to go, and it just went immediately. Wow, that hurts me. I need to go get diagnosed.
I do
God damn
want
it.
to say that when I get gift art, because I do get gift art. And I'm gonna call it gift art because I'm better than Solus. But when I get no, I'm kidding. But when I get gift art,
Objectively, you are. Yes.
when I get gift art, usually they tag me and they're like, yeah, I drew this for Misha B. Barkin, and I'll retweet it, I'll like it, and I'll be like, hey, this is super awesome, thank you so much. And that's where that ends. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm super thankful, and 10 times out of 10, I love it. But I don't ever feel like the next move is just like, oh, I automatically have to follow you. Because, like,
Yeah.
I'll print it out and put it on a little bulletin board I have.
I have a shrine of gift art.
I do. I mean, I have a little shrine of gift art.
Oh, you're being serious?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I have
hell
a
yeah.
bulletin board, and if anyone draws me stuff and it's like a physical badge, I've received some physical ones, and those are up there.
Oh,
but
nice.
if you've drawn me, then I'll first I'll go show Andy and I'll cry about it because I'm so genuinely touched and I can't believe that someone would give me anything. And then I'll go print it out and I'll put it on my little bulletin board.
That's adorable.
You make me regret. See, that it's a really big regret from my banning was like how many connections and people I can't reach out to gift art that I think I've saved the majority of it to my I have external hard drive and I have my current PC, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember all of their ads and I don't have that ability to reach out about like crediting artists and stuff anymore. So that really does hurt me. And I good God, I love gift art. Like, there have been.
My little trick is that when I save it, is that right click save. I'll save it as the artist who drew it. But what I also do, I write it on the back too when I print it out, put it on my bulletin board.
Oh, there you go.
And especially on those badges, because if somebody asks me who drew that and I look down and they haven't signed it, I'm like, fuck. But
Yeah, I'm just really bad about like a lot of the problems I did is just me being terrible at organization and
get a toy house. That's also
don't
really
have
helped
that.
me. That's what I'm
My
saying.
biggest
Get one.
issue was I would catch it on my phone and like fucking love it to death, and then forget to do exactly what you said. Even going back to my PC, saving as and putting it in a folder and like not putting a name on it. Like I just wouldn't do it. I'd forget about it. So it's lost somewhere in the annals of Twitter, and I'm just like, fuck. There's so much cool stuff that I'm now just like never gonna see again.
I would I'd copy the link, send it to myself on Telegram, and that's how I'd remind myself
Right.
to go.
Future
And-
Solace is gonna do better about it. God dang it. Dog dang it.
Oh, dang it.
Speaking of a random Hank of the Hill reference that I'm thinking.
No, I know
Did
what
you
you're gonna
hear?
say.
Yeah.
No.
The voice actor for Dale Gribble passed away today.
I know. I just
August
saw that
10th.
earlier.
I just saw that. Hank of the Hill was a childhood
Dude, King of the
gold
Hill
mine.
is such a good show.
Mike Judge is a fucking beast of a writer.
It was really cool because it was like super down to earth when other adult cartoons were being like super zany and out there,
Yeah.
And it was
And it
just
was
like
fucking hilarious too.
It was genuinely funny.
And we all know Bobby Hill's a furry.
Oh yeah. Like, dude, I
mean,
still
it's
quote
still
things
good. Like,
from King
yeah,
of the Hill.
I totally still quote things from
Oh,
King
yeah.
of the Hill.
Oh yeah. So yeah, rest in peace, Johnny Hardwick, the voice actor for Dale Gribble. What a phenomenal voice to a character.
Oh yeah, that voice.
A very zany character.
Yeah, man, that's so sad.
64, very young.
Yeah.
But
that is super young. I was the celebrity death that hit me super hard was Robin Williams.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
rest in peace, Robin Williams. I was returning from I think one of like my first Denfers. And I remember I had just I'd done a dealer's table and I'd sold really good, so I was really proud of myself. So I was rewarding myself with like a little bit of food and drink at one of the restaurants, which are so fucking expensive.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Got some catnip, exactly. And the waiter must have picked up my vibe because I'm looking down at my phone and I must have just a devastated expression. Because he comes over like, "Hi, what are you okay?" Like his mood changed, and without saying anything, I just show him my phone, and he reads it, and he and then he walks away. I assume to go tell the other, because you could tell because the way this news spread, it was so instant. Like the whole airport was even becoming more somber as people were reading it on phones.
Yeah,
and then he came back with a beer with my burger, and he was just on the house, and then I just cried over that beer and then called my mom.
Oh my god. Yeah,
that's a big one. Yeah,
he touched a lot of hearts.
Him and Steve Irwin, were the two big ones.
I can only hope to cause a fraction of the positivity
that
Robin Williams did in his life.
Mr. Rogers, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
People like that.
I was actually just you unlocked that memory, Ruby. Of I unfortunately I was you. I know where you, who you were in that moment of being the person to deliver that bad news to a total stranger. Even I remember being unfortunately letting you know about Mist, and that it is a horrible feeling when things like that.
Oh my god! I
didn't realize you so many people knew them, A, and B, I was the first person telling people about it, and then I was like, holy shit, wow, this sucks being that bearer of bad news.
Yeah, you messaged me and I was like, this is gonna be a little prank, or all the things that people think about.
Yeah,
that shit happens.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no way, and then I was devastated, and then I was I told you like how close we were, and you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh my
'cause
god, I had no fucking
yeah,
idea."
I had no clue. I had
Yeah, it
no
was
clue. And
like,
honestly, I had imposter syndrome over that just because I had only spent that RV trip really with him. Granted, I spent a lot of time talking to him, and like I go back and think about that. That person has left like a bigger impact on my life than I think anybody could imagine. Just thinking about the conversations we had and just everything.
yeah,
It's crazy.
that one was,
Sammy was incredibly rough for me. That was a super rough one.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, the thing with Mist, like, I saw that pop up on Twitter, and I was like, oh, that's really sad. And then the entire day, everybody was talking about it, and I was like, wow, I'm in the minority because I had never heard of Mist before that happened, and I was like, wow, everyone else had like new Mist. Holy shit! So
The absolute incredible thing about being a part of such a connected and empathetic community is how much that we all touch each other and care about each other. But then the counter to that is that when there is a loss, we all feel it. Not all the same. Like I think it's one of those things that when we hear about loss in the fandom, and whether you knew that person or not, you also feel that grief, not just for your fellow human
yeah,
being, but for your fellow community member who, even if it was a friend of a friend and you've never spoken to them, you knew that they were there and they're not anymore, and
yeah,
that's really tragic. And you knew that they had a good impact on people you care about, and that's also really tragic. And you're allowed to feel grief for that. I think a lot of people feel bad for feeling bad about furries we've lost that they didn't know personally, and I don't think that's fair. I think you're allowed to feel the grief of a community member that is no longer with us, and that their impact is gone, and that the positivity they've obviously spread ends there. I think you're allowed to grieve those feelings, whether
Oh yeah,
whether you had them or not.
yeah,
it's something I have to work through personally. To remind myself like those feelings are still valid. It's not necessarily the quantity. It's it's just the quality and like you said, just the vicarious like sadness. It's just being empathetic person and an empathetic community. Like we can all be a little bit sad when something tragic like that happens, but in the vice versa, if somebody's having a really good time, like Misha quitting their crappy job and getting to go
yeah,
back to school, we can all be happier and be celebratory through for Misha and like vicariously excited ourselves for Misha.
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
And it's cool because I get to be like, hell yeah, Misha, live your life, fam. Do
yeah.
good.
Having a community that's this close means we all go through the highs and the lows together.
And that's super hard.
Yeah.
You don't know how hard it is until it happens.
Yeah, once you're
My
in
first,
once you're
like,
in that low, it's
mhm.
but remember when you're in that low, there's other people there with you and you can always
Yeah,
reach out.
yeah.
And
I would much
please
rather
do. Please
look.
reach out.
I'm gonna say this and maybe regret this, but I've always had an open Telegram, and like I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist. I'm not trained, but like if it's the meaning between like a really bad decision one night, I'm like message
Yeah.
any like I would heavily suggest just hell. What is the shortcut for the line now?
I don't
They
remember
changed
off the
it.
top of my head,
I'm
but
gonna, I'm gonna look it up right now. Just remember that especially in our community, but like if you're listening to this podcast and everything, that we want the best for you. And if you're in a really bad spot where like a message or a call could change everything, like reach out to somebody, anybody, and at the worst, call 988, the suicide prevention hotline and crisis line. Um, because something that I always remember in my day-to-day life is that there's always a chance for tomorrow to be better. And that means that even though if today has just been the absolute worst, getting to tomorrow and then hopefully making those steps to make it better will make the next day better and makes the next day better. And yeah, sometimes it does take a little while, but you can eventually get there.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's just Whoo! This podcast took a
Yeah,
turn.
we were talking about work. What happened?
We're talking about
Oh.
shitty work experiences.
We're talking about
Jesus.
shitty work experience, and then unfortunately somebody passed away, and then Robin Williams, and now we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you listen to this podcast, we love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
For being here, talking about some of the other things we're talking about, like the parasocial relationships and stuff, and like giving art, not giving art, viewers showing up to streams and stuff. Like, hey, you're giving us your time, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here.
Thanks for listening to us ramble about whatever the fuck we may be talking about.
Yeah, how long has this been going now? What episode is this?
This will be episode 8. I just got done editing episode 7.
So this will debut this will be the 2-month mark debut.
Holy shit, it will
That's
be.
every work. That's 2 months. Well, it's 8 weeks, so not quite because.
Oh, we skipped a couple of weeks, but yeah.
Not on uploads.
Really?
The 8th upload will be the 8th week. Yeah, we've never missed.
yeah,
an upload.
we skipped the week before we started uploads. That's right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But if this is the 8th episode when this debuts, that'll be the more or less the 2-month anniversary of this podcast.
Fucking go!
Hot
We've
damn.
made it this far. God damn.
God damn.
Who would have guessed it? No, it's been a.
Who'd have thought? Look at us. Who'd have
Look
thought?
at us. Oh my god, look at us sitting here. Who would have thought? Not me.
Who'd have thought? Not me.
So it's you know what? It's been an amazing ride, and I'm still having a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah.
Misha obviously loves editing all of this still.
Oh yeah.
Stop. Stop.
Ooh, yeah. Anyway, if anyone would
alright.
like to be an editor, hit us
Yeah,
up.
so please. Oh my god, for
We
real
can
though.
pay you in clout.
Pay you in gift art that Ruby will draw. That I'm volunteering.
I'm just kidding,
for.
volunteer.
I would be willing to draw some gift. I mean, it wouldn't be gift art. That would be a transaction. But
Yeah, you'd have to get some contract in there.
All right, guys.
Alright.
I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for
Bye,
watching.
thanks for watching.
listening.
bye.
We're live on YouTube Music.
Bark, meow.